there. I am getting so many questions about breastfeeding, feeding, pumping in general. I thought I made some videos before, but I realize now that I need to make a collective video with a timeline with many topics connected to breastfeeding, so also pumping, also formula, bottle feeding, how we feed at night, how the baby sleeps, what products I use, breathing monitor when baby sleeps. So if you're interested in any of this, please stay and watch this video. And yeah, if not, then maybe you can search the chapters that interest you, but I want to do like a collective video about this general topic. So I wanted to start from the very beginning. I gave birth prematurely at week 35 plus 0. That means my body was not really ready to have a baby. I had no milk, I had no colostrum, and it was very difficult for me in the very beginning to get milk. I made a video from the hospital about my breastfeeding feeding journey. I'm going to link it here, and you can watch that video, then come back here, because I don't want to focus on those early days. I want to focus on what's after, because I don't want to say the same things twice. You can watch me struggle over there. I want to focus on how it progressed. In a very short version of things, I had very big difficulties in the beginning. I struggled in the first 6-8 weeks of my baby's life. I was pumping milk, feeding the baby pumped milk. I was not really breastfeeding, and I was not using formula. I was not breastfeeding at the very beginning because baby was too weak and got used to the bottle. I also didn't have this belief in myself that it works. In the very beginning, we also used Stillhütchen, and I used it and I thought I'm doing enough. And the baby would reject it. She didn't like it. Then I kept telling myself that it's because she's not strong enough. And I actually believed it at the time. I think maybe it was true. Maybe this is something I was told at the hospital. So I just kept telling myself that, and I didn't really try. Then I was pumping for those weeks. I had 3 pumps. I made a separate video about pumps. I'm going to link it here. You can see what pumps I liked, what pumps I didn't like, and I was using all 3 for the first 6 weeks. Then I went for a checkup to my gynecologist. She said everything looks fine, I look healed, uterus looks healed, not pelvic floor. I will make a video about that next. My mistake of returning to the gym and thinking I'm healed and now having lots of problems. Another video, not going to put it in here. But basically the doctor told me I'm healed, I'm doing good. And she asked me how is breastfeeding going? And I was like, well, it's not going. So the baby was already 6 weeks old. I would try sometimes, but because she didn't like it, I didn't force it. We tried the Stillhütchen, and she would maybe drink for like 1 minute and then wasn't a fan. She preferred my milk from the bottle. And the doctor said, what are you doing? So why are you doing this? Why are you pumping while your boyfriend is feeding? Both of you are using time to do the same thing, to give this milk to this baby, but you're doing it all. And what about the washing and sterilizing? Why are you doing all this? It's too much for you. Aren't you tired? And I was thinking, yeah, I'm tired. It is exhausting. It's really too much. And she told me, listen, if breastfeeding is what you want, which is what I recommend, that's what she said. This is what she recommends. Breastfeeding is the best. She said to me, drop bottle feeding, focus on breastfeeding, breastfeed your baby. Anytime she's hungry, put her on the breast. It will not be like with the bottle, you can give a lot at once and then baby is full for a long time. Maybe baby will be hungry every 1-2 hours. But even though you have to feed more often, it is less work than washing the bottles, preparing, heating up, and all this work connected with the bottle feeding. And then I said to her, actually, it's not only that, I don't have enough milk. That's what I told her. I don't have enough milk, and we have to supplement with formula. So, what happened just 2 days before that appointment is my baby started going through a growth spurt. So, instead of drinking 60 milliliters, she started drinking 160 milliliters. I felt really ashamed to tell her in the beginning, or like just tell anyone that I can't produce this much milk. But basically, what happens is you pump, it's a 30-minute session, and it pumps a certain amount of milk. But when baby's going through growth spurts, she asks for more milk. How it works is to produce more milk, you have to pump more. You have to put baby on your breast more. But I wasn't pumping more. I was still pumping every 3 hours, like they told me in the hospital. So I was only producing still 60 milliliters, and then the rest, 100, we had to get from formula. So I told her that actually I don't have enough milk, and that's why we will be stuck with the bottles for now, because I just cannot feed my baby. To which she said, supply demand, if you feed your baby more, you will get more milk. And back then, it all made sense. I understood. I was like, oh, yeah, maybe I try. And then she explained to me, you can put the baby on one side, wait for the let down. And when she was saying this, I was like, let down? I never had that. I have no idea what this is. 6 weeks postpartum, I had no idea what a letdown is. And you wait 10 minutes maybe after the baby feeds. If she's still hungry, you put her on the other breast. And then again, let down 10 minutes. Maybe you can try. And she said, I really hope it can work for you. But it will also mean where you go, the baby goes, you have to take your baby everywhere. And I was like, oh wow. I went home and I told my boyfriend, I want to only breastfeed the baby. And that time was the first night I didn't get up to pump. We breastfed the baby during the night, and it worked. The baby didn't ask for formula, didn't ask for bottle. I would feed her, put her back to bed. She would fall asleep. And then the next day we tried again, and the baby was crying. The baby was crying all day. And remember, that was almost, kind of middle of her growth spurt. So she was crying a lot, which was normal. But that day, I remember it was super hard for us. She would just cry and we didn't find the reason. And then we thought, maybe she's hungry. So we prepared a bottle and she drank like a whole bottle of 150 milliliters and stopped crying. And I felt so bad. I was like, we were starving her. We didn't understand that she was hungry. She was crying, to be honest now, from the time's perspective, I understand that she was crying a lot in general. And it was difficult to calm her down in general. So she wasn't acting like she was hungry, but because she was crying all day. Yeah, she was hungry. So then I dropped breastfeeding again, but I stopped pumping too, which is the worst thing I could do. I took a day to think what to do about this situation, and I decided to pump, but to feed as well from the breast more, to focus on it more. So then I would put my baby to the breast, put to the other breast, and then if I wanted, I would still pump. If I didn't, I would do this instead of pumping. And slowly but surely, my baby got better at drinking. I was surprised because, I remember it was hurting so bad. It was hurting so bad. I was still using Stillhütchen, and with the Stillhütchen, it was hurting. Sometimes I would try without. That was unbearable. So I would wear Stillhütchen not because she was too weak, or because it was just hurting me too much. And then my mom was still there for like a week, and I remember my mom saying, oh, you will get used to the pain. And I was like, how can anyone get used to this? You can. I'm used to it now. And I started feeding her. So after this doctor's appointment, I started feeding her more from breast, and I started feeding her more often. and without Stillhütchen and at night. And that was a big change for us because my baby had the time to get used to the breast. She liked it. I hated it. Honestly, with the pain, she was getting angry sometimes at me and still asked for a bottle. So when I felt that we are going to finish breastfeeding soon, I would call my boyfriend. He was on Elternside at the time, and I would say, you need to prepare milk now because this is gonna go badly very soon. And fair enough, after every breastfeeding, she was crying for milk. So I was using back then breastfeeding as just something not really for the baby, but for me to stop the pumping. And I stopped pumping. I don't pump already for a very long time. And I replaced pumping with breastfeeding, but my baby still needed formula a lot. Then the transition at night was massive because before, at the very beginning, our nights looked like this, that if the baby was crying, I would wake my boyfriend. My boyfriend would take the baby. He would feed her the milk from the bottle. We had the milk stored in the fridge. So he would heat it up, feed the baby, and I would go and pump. So we were both awake for a very long time and we were both busy. I was awake for longer because I had to pump, then I had to put it in the fridge and I had to disinfect the parts, wait for them to be disinfected, hang them to dry, go to sleep, so it could all be repeated in 3 hours. And what this dropping pumping and just breastfeeding changed for me, it's not only this that we both get more sleep, but also it changed how we sleep. I will come back to it. But I will just tell you how our nights look right now. The baby sleeps in our bed. I sleep in a bra. If she starts to make any noise, or like usually she's just chewing on her hand, I just take out one of the breasts, feed her, or put it in her mouth, and then she is eating and I fall asleep again. Sometimes I wake up and when she's dozing off and she's about to fall asleep, but sometimes I wake up later. I don't know what's going on. I see my boobies out, baby's asleep. I just put it back in. I go to sleep. My boyfriend sleeps through the night. He doesn't wake up anymore. And this movement of me taking out the breast, putting it in her mouth and being awake for maybe 5 minutes is such a huge change, honestly. I don't know how I didn't do it from the beginning. I think it would have, I mean, I know why, because I couldn't. The baby, I feel like we just needed to go through this process for the baby to be ready to do this, but it's just so much better at the moment. And then when the baby falls asleep, we sleep, she will wake up. Actually, before it was every 3 hours, now she's waking up every 2 hours. So we would fall asleep, and after 2 hours she wakes up. I go on the other side of her, so she's just in one place. I go on the other side of her and I feed her from the other breast. And what's interesting is that she at night she only takes one breast at the time. She never asks for two. So like one and then the second time. She's not that hungry. She's just a little hungry and then she can go back to sleep. So our nights at the moment is just me waking up briefly every 2 hours, going from side to side. No Stillhütchen, no pumping, just breast. I wanted to also say how we progressed with sleeping in general because we changed this breastfeeding routine. So in the very beginning, my baby slept in this kind of bed. But I noticed it doesn't work because my baby had problems with breathing. She was wearing this breathing monitor. How this monitor works is you clip it onto her clothing. If she doesn't breathe for 15 seconds, it will go off and it will stimulate her, so it will vibrate. And then if she still doesn't breathe for additional 5 seconds, it will set an alarm. And this alarm would wake me up. And with this kind of bed, it meant that I have to first hear the alarm, understand what's happening, get out of bed, stand up because this bed has a very high barrier, go from above to or like to pick her up, first turn on the light, of course, to see what's going on. Is she really not breathing? What's going on? Do I need to stimulate her? I have to turn off this monitor, and it would also ruin a lot of my nights, because this is the worst sound you can hear as a mother, your baby not breathing. And to be fair, I heard it more times than I would like. So that she didn't sleep in this bed for a very long time, and we changed to Beistellbett. This Beistellbett, and what I liked about it, it was right next to me, so I didn't have to get up and get out of bed, first of all. Second of all, we never installed this side wall, so I could reach to her directly, and I could see directly if she is breathing or not. And what we also changed when she started sleeping in this bed is I started sleeping with the light on, fully on. I mean the small light, so I could, directly when I opened my eyes, I could see, what is she doing? Did something happen? Is she okay? Is she struggling? Or I directly saw if something is wrong. So I still until today sleep with the light on, but we progressed with the light. In the very beginning, it was this clip-on. I'm going to post it here. It was this clip-on light that you have to find. So at night, I would search for this tiny, tiny button to turn it on. Terrible. Then we went with this light, and this light basically you tap on the top and it can be on all night long. The only problem is every, I would say, week you have to charge it. Now I got smarter. Now I have this light that you just plug in, and when it gets dark enough, it's on. When it's day, it turns off. And it's also not as bright as the other light, so I love it so much. I get so much better sleep because the light is not so in your eyes anymore, and I don't have to worry about turning it off, it being too bright, too dark. So this also changed our sleeping quality. But anyway, let's go back to bed. So I was sleeping with Beistellbett and this light, and then I realized that for Beistellbett, when we changed, so this was first we had this Beistellbett when we still fed her with the bottle, but then when I changed to this breastfeeding, I realized that I can just grab her, put her with me, feed her, and put her back very easily. But it meant I have to sit up. So after some weeks of me sitting up, I realized it's easier to actually put her to sleep in her Beistellbett. With the first feed, put her with me, and then keep her until the end of the night. And I was swapping places. And now we got rid of the Beistellbett. We put her in bed directly with us, and she just sleeps with us. I did not want to sleep with her because of the doctors telling me about SIDS and about all the risks, and it is terrifying. I cannot imagine this little person leaving me now because of whatever reason, but especially knowing that I could have had her in her own bed, but because of my comfort, I prefer to have her in my bed, and it's my fault. I know I wouldn't be able to live with it, but I believe, and this is not scientific, it's not nothing, it's just my personal situation, I believe that she started sleeping so much better with me, next to me. And I don't know how this works. I don't know I don't know how, but she sleeps better. Her monitor stopped going off to the point that the batteries died, and I bought new batteries. But in those few days that I was waiting for batteries, she was okay. And I actually never changed the batteries, and I don't use the breathing monitor anymore. And I feel so relieved because, well, she's almost 4 months now and she's okay. She's breathing, she's growing, she's doing super good. We are sleeping together. And I just wish that the doctors would tell you about SIDS and all the risks of sleeping together or as a family or together, you and the baby. But I also wish they said what are the rules of safe sleeping with the baby if you were to choose it. So I was not told that there is any safe way I could do it. But there is, and here are some changes that I made. First of all, I had this topper on my bed, which made my mattress extra soft. I took it off. Now I sleep on a very hard mattress, and apparently for the baby, it's good to sleep on a hard surface so that when she turns, she cannot sink into the mattress. So first I got rid of that. Second thing, I sleep with 0 pillows. We don't have any pillows. I have a pillow outside of my bed. I grab it when I feed her, so I'm a bit up. And when I stop feeding her, I put it away. Another thing I do is I tie my hair up. So I always sleep either with a high bun, or I put my hair together and I wear it down, but never down like this. I always have it somehow contained. Another thing I do is I sleep in a bra only. I don't have any loose clothing that could cover baby's face. Another thing that we do is that I have the cover on the baby's chest level. The problem is if the baby's chest level is here and you sleep up here, if you get cold, you want to put the cover over you and then you can cover the baby. So I sleep on the baby's level. So when I go to sleep, I don't sleep where at the top of the bed. I go to the middle of the bed where the baby is. So if you imagine, this is the level of me and the baby, and here's my boyfriend's head. And here's the top of the bed. So I sleep in the middle, my legs are sticking out. But basically there is no way that I will put my cover over my head. So only if I put it over my head, I will cover baby's head. So I don't mind that my legs are sticking out. I'm fine with that. I go up to feed her and then I leave the cover down, and when I'm cold I wake up, probably because babies don't feeding too, and then I go safely down to sleep with her. And now my baby sleeps in my bed also during the day because she got very sensitive to sounds. She was sleeping in the bed in the living room before, and I was terrified of putting her in my bed because it's so unsafe. But I learned the safe ways of her sleeping there, and I put her there with the camera on, and she's just sleeping there. So this is basically my transition from like being a very controlled, very freaked out mother, trying to do everything right, to kind of like slowly feeling comfortable with being a mom and trusting myself and knowing what my baby needs. And I feel like we found our routine that works best for us. And this part of the video with a timeline and how things progressed will be over now. I'm going to pause it here, and then I'm going to show you all the products in my kitchen that I use for breastfeeding, formula, bottle feeding, how I sterilize the bottles, how I store it, everything. And then I will take you to my bedroom to show you the products I use, nipple creams, the pads for leaking, my bras, all the stuff that I use in the bedroom for this purpose. So thank you for listening, and I invite you to watch part 2. Maybe I separate it into separate videos. No, I will not. So now I will say goodbye here, and I will take you to my kitchen. So welcome from my kitchen. Here I have a box of products I basically don't use anymore. These are parts of the pumps, parts of the bottles that I don't use, and I basically don't use this anymore. Then for warming the bottles, because we still use formula sometimes if she's very hungry, especially in the evening. During the day it's fine with breastfeeding, but in the evening she tends to eat more. This is the bottle warmer we use. It's Philips Avent. I do not recommend it because first of all it takes a very long time to warm it up, and I feel like sometimes I warm it up and it's warm, sometimes I warm it up and it's cold, sometimes I warm it up and it's too warm and like I have to wait. Also, they say that you need to level the water inside to the level of the milk, but How can I see if I put a bottle inside? So this is a bottle. Tell me, how am I supposed to tell how much milk is in there, how much water is in there, and if the water is on the milk level? I cannot see that, so that's a terrible advice they gave me to to do it, because I simply cannot see. Actually, I don't want to recommend any formula. You have to go and try what's best for you. I just say that I use the formula that we used at the hospital. She got used to it. She was fed with formula from the very early days of her life. Right now she drinks maybe 100 milliliters of formula a day, which is very little. She used to only drink formula at some point. Yeah, so I will not recommend formula. Do what's best for you. For her gases, and if she cannot poop, we use espumisan. It's in a liquid form, and we dose it with a syringe. Then I'm going to take you to my bottle cleaning station. So for bottle cleaning, I'm using this Nook sterilizer. It takes 10 to 15 minutes. I never timed it really, but it feels like a long time. You can put 6 bottles together or 4 bottles, and it has a little basket, which is what I do. I took out the 2 bottle adjustments and I use the basket. So here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 bottles and a basket. I put the tops of the bottles in the basket. I have a storage bottle where I make the milk and store it in the fridge. And here I have 2 sizes of bottles. I recommend getting a smaller one. Why I'm recommending a smaller one? It's because if you fill up the whole bottle and you warm it up, the baby can take a very long time to eat. The milk will get cold again. So what I do is I put 10 milliliters, feed her, I warm it again, feed her, and so on. Unless I know she's very hungry and I didn't have enough milk or whatever the problem is, I will make 60, but never like 150 milliliters at once. And I also dissolve my vitamin D in the milk because she got pills, not drops for milk. So now we are in my bathroom and I want to show you some products I use specifically for my breasts. I have 2 creams, nipple creams. This one I also used at the hospital. Actually, I used both at the hospital, but this one I used more because I don't know what was wrong with my lips after delivery, but they were swollen and they were hot and dry, and I used this nipple cream also for my lips. And I also use this nipple cream. I like both, to be honest. I don't see any difference. I guess both help me. Then another thing I have is silver cups for nipples. It's basically to prevent the nipple traction on the bra. They were very expensive. I'm not sure if it's worth it actually. I don't use it so often, only when I'm desperate, to be honest. Another thing I use are these pads from Mama's Baby Dream. I have to tell you that I also use these and they're absolutely terrible. I don't know how the difference can be so big, but I love these and I hate these. And now I'm going to take it to my bedroom. Okay, no, my baby's sleeping and that would be terrible if I have to stop the video because I was trying to show you some products. So I brought them back to the bathroom. So I want to start with bras. I have this bra from Medela. It's called a cooling bra. I will put it in here. I bought black and white. I'm currently wearing the white one. I love it because if you want to breastfeed your baby, you just open one side or you open the other side. And I really like that, especially at night. It's a better system overall than this click-on bras, which work like this. And why? Because if I'm holding a baby like this, feeding here, I can never do it. I just cannot. I have to always pull it a bit down and then click it. So it's not good for one hand as a one-hand solution. While this kind of bra, where you just open it, you just move the baby and you easily can do it with one hand also at night. So I really recommend these. These, if you have to, like if you are wearing a nice top and you need something that doesn't show because Obviously these, they show a little bit, right? So I wear them at home. I love them at home. I love them for night, but not to wear out. I bought this bra from Mama's Baby Dream, and I also really like it. I don't like the closing, but for going out it's fine. And I really like that, I don't know if you can see, it has like a scrunch here. The boobs look really good in this, so I really like that. I thought before that buying something like this is a good idea with a zip in front. Well, tell me. I will tell you now that it is not a good idea. I bought this from some random brand from Rossmann. Feels good, but not perfect for breastfeeding. Then I want to move on to the tops. I have this top from No Peace, and I thought it would be perfect because somehow this idea appealed to me that you just open the boob and you are still like your belly is covered. You don't have to take anything off. It appealed to me, but this color is terrible. If you leak, you have one drop of milk, it will show. And I don't know why, it didn't happen to me once that I didn't have a milk drop. She always spits or she moves away during letdown and there is always milk, so I never use this actually. And one I like more than this one is from Next Maternity. I have white and black. It's also a top with this click system, and it's overall better than this. I like wearing it out when I don't want to show my belly. Yeah, I quite like this one actually. Oh, something didn't work here. Doesn't matter. It unclicked. I thought I clicked it properly, but I didn't. So I'm going to link all the products. Actually, if you go to my Instagram, I have all the links already. And I think we can finish the video here. I don't know if my products or products that I use interest you at all or helped you at all deciding what products you use, but I hope so. And if you have any questions, ask me in the comment section. And yeah, maybe if you have any other topics that you would like me to make videos on, then I would be more than happy to do so. Just tell me what you need. Have a nice day.